Thank you everyone for joining us today. My name is Joanna Landau. For those of you who don't know me, I'm the founder and CEO of Vibe Israel. We're a nonprofit that is dedicated to enhancing Israel's global reputation. And in the past 10 years, we've focused our efforts on promoting Israeli culture and lifestyle, primarily through social media efforts. I'm very proud to say that we've managed to generate over 1 billion positive mentions about Israel online by bringing digital influencers to Israel. We work with the President's Office of Israel on a project, and we also work with major Jewish organizations in the diaspora. And when COVID hit at the beginning of this year, it became very clear to us very quickly that while it is a health crisis, it is actually much more significantly an economic crisis, the likes of which the world has not seen in the last maybe even a century. And we're just right at the very beginning, but the results of that crisis is that we're entering a new economic world in the sense that the large countries will be able to look inwards and depend very comfortably on their domestic markets. But small countries like Israel, like the UAE, that are dependent on foreign trade, foreign investment, will have to become much more competitive in what I like to call the supermarket of nations. So you imagine when you walk into a supermarket and you're buying a product, but that product is a country, where are you going to travel next? Where are you going to send your kids or go yourself to study abroad or relocate? Where are you going to invest in a company and so on? The options are not singular, they are multiple. Israel has always prided itself on being the startup nation, and that indeed we are. However, 10 years after the book came out, and since we've been using the slogan for 10 years, we at Vibe Israel felt that it's worth looking into and analyzing whether it's still the same message that works and resonates. And what we found after interviewing 3,000 business opinion makers throughout the world is that, yes, Israel is very much appreciated for its technology, but we are not the only startup nation. There are other countries that are vying for the title. In the last 10 years, every country is trying to say that they're the most innovative, they're the most technologically advanced, and so on. And so we have to try even harder. As a result, we approached the Ministry of Economy and Industry, and specifically Mr. Ohad Cohen, who is the Trade Commissioner for Israel. And we asked the ministry to join us in developing a strategy to promote and encourage foreign direct investment and trade with Israel. I'm delighted that the ministry agreed to support us in this and help us as we develop the strategy. I myself feel that Israel needs a marketing department, and I'm hoping very much that in 2021 we will be able to actually turn that vision into a reality. So what are we doing here today? Vibe Israel is sponsoring the Israel-Dubai conference. There are many delegations that are going since the Abraham Accords. They're going to the UAE and introducing themselves to the UAE. But this is the first conference that it's actually a collaboration between Culturalist, the Israeli media platform, the economic media, Reshet 13, which is a national broadcasting station, and Bank Leumi, one of our biggest banks. And about 100 of us are going to Dubai to really learn from the Emirati people about the UAE. Rather than just presenting ourselves, we're interested in learning about them. And that's why I felt that it would be important for anybody who wants to do business with the UAE to actually hear about the business etiquette and culture in the United Arab Emirates. We are very similar in Israel and the UAE. Many of us feel like we're cousins, falling in love, and so on. But in fact, we're also quite different. And I think culturally, and I know that Nassif will agree with me, that's the basis for everything. You don't do business with countries, you don't do business with companies, you do business with people. And how we interact is our culture, whether in business or in other ways. So I'm very excited to hear from Mr. Nassif Kaya today. He's called the Arab Culturalist, and I'll let him introduce himself. But before we proceed, I'm going to ask Mr. Ohad Cohen, as I said, he's the Trade Commissioner for Israel, to say a few words and greet us. Over to you, Ohad.
Thank you very much, Joanna. Yes, the initiative by Vibe Israel is extremely timely when we abandon in a way the startup nation, and we are looking to see how do we keep our brand as the nation of innovation. Um, Speaking about the UAE, so I had, on a personal note, I had the pleasure of being on the historic flight at the beginning of September, together with many of my colleagues, to come over to Abu Dhabi. Sorry, Nassif, we didn't have the chance to visit Dubai, but we were in Abu Dhabi, and after a few minutes, when we looked, tried to see how do we speak to each other. We haven't spoken to each other for many, many years. It took us a few minutes, and then we just spoke. When you speak about your business and about the way that you want to promote bilateral and economic cooperation, finally, suddenly you find very quickly that you have a partner on the other side, and we felt very comfortable, and we exchanged mobile numbers, and we started to speak to each other like I'm speaking to my colleagues in the US or in the UK or in others. So in this sense, it was very, very smooth. However, and I think that the presentation that Nassif is going to provide to give us is very important. We are different. We are not the same. And those who think that even if they're doing business in other Arab countries like Bahrain or Egypt or Jordan, they think, oh yes, it is the same. No, it's not. It's not the same. It's like Europe. It's not. If you go to Germany or you go to France, they are both in Europe, but still they are different. The same goes for the UAE and the Gulf countries. I can tell you that on behalf of the Ministry of Economy and Industry, we are going to do whatever we can in order to promote the economic, the commercial, business relations with the UAE. We are going to open, hopefully in a few months, a commercial and investment mission in the UAE. It hasn't been decided yet where. We need to see what the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is going to establish. But I can promise you that we're going to work very fast in order to do that. So as Henry VIII said to his wife, I'm not going to keep you long. I want to thank you, and Joanna, thank you for the initiative, and it's a pleasure to meet you virtually, Nassif. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ohad. And I know that if you have to step off, we will forgive you. But thank you very much. And again, thank you everyone for joining us. And Nassif, I'm going to turn it over to you. Your resume is too long to read, so I'm going to let you choose which parts you would like to share with the audience and to start your presentation. The way this is going to work, we are going to have a frontal presentation where Nassif will be using slides and so on. Every so often he will stop and ask if anybody has any questions. Please put the questions into the chat box. Nassif has an assistant who will be sharing the questions with him, and he'll try and answer as we go along. And then towards the end, hopefully we'll have about 15 questions, 15 minutes left to ask a few questions that have been sent to us in advance as we asked. Okay, so looking forward to the next 45 minutes. Thank you very much. And Nassif, over to you, please.
Thank you, Joanne. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. I don't like to talk about myself other than the fact I am today going to do something very simple, which is really bring you about the best way where we can connect as the two culture, the Israeli culture, the Emirati culture. But this is what I do wherever I go. I mean, I just learned that there is no way to do business except by building a relationship. That's exactly what happened to me when I first arrived in the US after finishing high school here. I went over there. I learned that if I finish college, I will be hostage held by my dad, working for his company for the rest of my life, or working for a company. So therefore, I didn't want to do that. And for me to start my own business, I had to go meet Americans, introduce myself, and they start asking me questions. Where are you from? And the only thing they can recognize is the word Arab. Are you Arab? I said, yes, I am Arab by definition. Say, are you oil-rich Arab? I said, what do you mean by oil-rich Arab? Say, do you have an oil well? I said, yes, in the backyard. This is the question I get until today. Are you oil-rich Arab? And it wasn't long before this reflected back to me by me asking simple questions about my perception of America. And I said, wait a second. I haven't seen any blonde hair, blue eyes women here around here. What's going on? And this was in North Carolina, by the way. They said, oh, how do you know we have blonde hair, blue eyes women? I said, I watch TV. We watch American TV, you know. Oh, you have TV? I said, yeah, I do have TV. How can you have a TV in the tent? I said, you just asked me if I have an oil well, and now you are asking me if I live in a tent. Till today, people arrive to Dubai airport and they ask us, where are the people that live in tents? And so we created what we call desert safari, 500 dirham, go live in the desert. Enjoy yourself. And I realized this is what we call it misconception or a perception. If you have a misconception, let me just explain it. If you have, or clarify it actually, and if you have a perception, let me explain where did it stem from. And it began to be a journey, whether I was in the US or wherever I went to do business. I ended up having to answer questions about Arabs and who Emiratis and who Muslims in general are too. There's a huge misunderstanding there. And I learned the same. I always asked questions back and I learned about the other culture that I was interacting with. And it ended up being, you know, a good journey into different cultures and building a business portfolio. And this is what we will do today, make it easy for people from Israel to come to UAE and not feel like, oh my God, why did this just happen to me? Well, if you did not know what to expect and how to proceed, you could make mistakes that are unforeseen sometimes. Cool? Ready? All right, so I will share the screen.
Yeah.
All right. And we will here share computer audio, we're already there. So, okay. All right, intercultural communication. Let's go back from the beginning. So intercultural communication, business etiquette. What I mean by here is that when we begin to interact, first is the first interaction, first impression, and then we do business. A lot of times things stop. What do you call it? From when you first begin to interact, it stops and it doesn't go any further. Why? Because something does go wrong right there and then. So therefore, one of the basic principles that we would like to build on in intercultural communication is how to communicate. And as you see here, you see, Joanna, you were saying about culture and visiting. Culture is everything and everything is culture, guys, okay? There's nothing that we do in this life without having been influenced by culture, and there is nothing that is not culture that drives us to do the things the way we do them. Learning culture through dialogue. So transforming the unfamiliar to the familiar. Very good. So now read with me. Our definition of dialogue is an empowering process which enables persons to encounter the other in a safe environment. This is very important, folks. When we talk with each other, there is no intimidation, there is no body language that makes us feel unsafe or feel in a way inhibited. It's very, very important. Transforming the unfamiliar into the familiar. Just like when the people ask me, are you all rich Arab? I think it's a very genuine question, but sometimes the question starts in the deep end and they're like, so how many wives do you have? And you know, wait a second, I understand maybe you've heard something about we have more than one, but that's not true. I ask usually anybody who else, do you have more than one wife? They say, no, one is enough. And I say, that's the same for us. So why did, but then we have to explain it. So therefore we begin to talk. I personally love these misconceptions because they build the better, what we call it, path for me to build the understanding that is needed between us. It is profoundly reciprocal, back and forth, and rooted in an open, mutually respectful approach. If you expect me to answer a question you asked me, you expect to answer my question that is exactly the same to you too. So therefore, it has to be in a way where you are willing to take what you exchange with other people. Good. Essential of cultural communication, folks, is language. People come here and live here and don't, and Assalamu alaikum, they don't even know how to say it for quite sometimes. I think it's easier for us, Shalom alaikum, Salam alaikum. It shouldn't be very difficult. But what does it mean is very important too. But then there are other things, marhaba, masa al khair, good evening. It is nice for you to stay here a few days and learn a few words that you could use here and there. Tradition and culture norms. Everybody has their own tradition, but everyone that lives in Abu Dhabi has different culture norms than the ones that live in Dubai. So technically speaking, when you begin to deal with countries and you begin to deal with cities, you know how it is. Tel Aviv is not the same as Jerusalem and so on and so forth. And so therefore we need to build on that. Heritage and history. Nobody history started yesterday. Everybody has some past. So therefore it's good to know a little bit about it. It is nice because everybody thinks we started after oil. And this is usually my question. You think before oil there was no life here? What do you think? Say, I don't know, I'm not sure. How did you live? And this is really where it starts, is that knowledge is important for us to exchange and begin to build a relationship. Faith and religion, the variety of different sects and the different people, what are some of the things that you should be aware of so you don't make a mistake with this or with that, depending on their commitment and devotion to their sect or the faith particularly. And of course, last but not least, and most importantly, personality versus nationality. Personal choices. It doesn't matter where you go, folks, you will always come to realize that what? You are dealing with that individual. That person that you are dealing with is the person who you need to worry about how you build a relationship with. They are not like anybody else, nor that they will be like other people who will meet later on. We are all different. Good? So now some of my questions, as the chat box, Dali, ready? Okay. So the Emirates, what does an emirate mean? Just so for those who, it's a very basic word. What does an emirate mean?
Kingdom, no?
No. Kingdom comes from king. We don't have king, we have sheikh.
I mean, similar to kingdom.
Yeah,
Prince.
similar. It comes from
Right.
Amir. Amir is the person who rules over few people, right? And so therefore, exactly, it becomes an imara. So 7 emirates with 7 emirs. This is where it was down to earth, Bedouins, tents, and tribes, and the big tribe, and then the small tribes. And then the development of the sheikhism and royal sheikhs and so on and so forth. Let me ask another question. How did we come up with the word sheikh? Anybody knows where does the word sheikh comes from originally? Sheikh, of course it is in Arabic. You guys say the kha. Should be no answers? Sheikh is 3 things, as we will talk about them today. Originally, the person who gave us the knowledge, we called him Sheikh. Today we call him educated, we call him or her master degree, PhD. Good? So therefore that's the person that educates us. We used to call them Sheikh, we don't anymore. And you don't pass it on to your next generation. The next one is the people with money. If you have lots of money, you are rich, then you give opportunity and you created jobs. And so therefore you were sheikh because of your money. Now we call you millionaire, billionaire, we call you rich, but we don't call you sheikh anymore, nor that you can pass it along. So therefore these 2 are dead in the water, no more. The last one that survived is the sheikh that leads with wisdom and courage and has loyalty. And so therefore is always a male, and he becomes now the royal sheikh. And so therefore that's where we transported the small imara, small emir to the king, the concept of sheikh and sheikhism, which is the leader. Cool? Little things will help throughout time. And so we have 7 royal families in 7 emirates. Let me ask you another question here really quick. Come on, let's bug you. You see how 87% of UAE, by the way, guys, is Abu Dhabi. And then there is Dubai. But you noticed how there is like blue and brown, orange and orange. Have you noticed that? What is that? Why is there is 2 Fujairah, 2 Sharjah, 3 Sharjah actually? What do you think? Okay, come on. I mean, you're going to
original territories were an original sheikh might have ruled territories that were disparate and they remained under his control?
No. This is called thanks to the British. Borders, flags, national anthem, passports.
It's always our fault.
What a surprise.
It's always our fault.
Yeah. No, it's all about access, technically speaking. If you really think about it, the large Abu Dhabi, but then everybody's at the tip of UAE because that's where the access, you know, the Gulf of Oman and the Strait of Hormuz and so on and so forth. If you want to do anything, you have to be able to get out. And the way to get out from the sea is to be at the tip of UAE rather than at the bottom, where is the desert and where you connect with Saudi Arabia and so on and so forth. Cool? So now we go back to the 7 families that came over here and established themselves. And so therefore, everybody knows about Al Nahyan in Abu Dhabi, Al Maktoum in Dubai, and we have the other 5. You don't hear a lot about them, but they are there as families, Naimi, Qasimi, Sharqi. These are families that came here to each area or each, not exactly the way it's defined now, but established this themselves. As the large family, and the small families came and lived with them and built what we call a tribe with small little families, small little tribes with them. And so therefore, in the honor of them establishing a life from nothing almost, we owe it to them that these are the people to be loyal to and commit to. They have led us from where there was nothing to where it is now, son after father, and they have done the job to really make it a place for everybody to live in harmony. So therefore, that's how the 7 Emirates created what we call today UAE. And we will see what was the reason behind when Sheikh Zayed, Hazani Sheikh Zayed created the concept of UAE. Okay? So now the question is, UAE is, guys, it's just a desert. My God, there's so much sand. One of the funniest questions I had one time from a lady, she said to me, why do you have so much sand? I said, sorry, forgive me. What did you expect? You came to UAE. She said, I knew it was desert, but I didn't know there was this much sand in your desert. I'm like, well, sorry, we'll take some out. Don't worry about it. We're building buildings instead. But guys, there's a lot of desert and a lot of salty water. Look, and then you have to travel in camels and live in tents made out of goat hair. What is this? Why did we come here? Now I want you to type. Guys, you can type, you know. The chat box assistant is here. You can tell me, that's okay, Daniel, just so far. Why did we come to the desert? 7 families came and established themselves. Why? There is no water. There is 0 river, 0 springs.
Trade routes.
Huh? Trade routes, trade what? You live in the
Across,
desert.
between Asia and Europe.
Give them what?
Spice trail originally?
Escaping what? Oh, escaping, you mean we are convicts? That's Australia, we're not convicts, okay? I mean, I don't know why people think we escaped from where. No, look, spices, they don't grow in the desert, dear. What's going on here? Come on, 1, 2. No conflict.
Oil maybe?
La, oil, ha, I got you. Oil is 1958. 96. Dubai didn't sell oil until 69. So this is what everybody comes and tells me. You have all these buildings because of the oil money. No, it's your money. The investor people that come and build these buildings. We don't build all of them. Guys, this is it. You see it, what it is? Pause. every 400 pearls, you'll get every 100 oysters, you'll get a pearl. Every 1,000 oysters, you'll get a good sized pearl. Who wants that pearl? The emperors and the kings, especially around the time wherever England ruled, there was kings. Even in India, there is a king named George, okay? So the kings at the time, the queens, they wanted earrings of pearls. Have you heard or seen the movie Pearl of Earring? They had no diamonds, no gold, no silver, no platinum, it was pearls. And so therefore they came to us and said, I want the best of what you have. We said, what do you have? And that's how trade was created. Southeast Asia brought us what? 3 things. And same thing Northeast Asia, because we could only survive with having commodities that do not go bad because of the weather and the climate. Fabric. Number 2, spices. Why spices, by the way? Anybody knows?
Why?
When you come, yeah, why spices? Why did we pick spices? Fabric, everybody needs fabric. Everybody needs to put something on themselves. But why spices?
For trading.
But you know, come on, we need good answers here. What do you mean spices for trading? We need
Preserves food.
no, it preserves. Nothing preserves. We get to 120 degrees in the summer. Believe me, the human being will rot in the sun. Nothing preserves anything in Dubai in July, August.
To make food tasty.
It is medicine. This is the forgotten. Can you please go to Dubai Spice Market? And I do tours like that, and we do education in all Dubai. You guys would like to join us when you're here. Very important. When you go to the spice shop, what is this? What is it for? Very educational. And today we call it herbal medicine, but in the old days, there was no other medicine. But of course, the pharmaceutical industry does not want you to hear you speak like that, because that's their bread and butter. And therefore, for us, we still have the old medicine. And last but not least, dry goods, such as rice and beans. Any bean you want, like lentil, instead of 1 kind, we have 7. Rice, instead of 1 kind, like America has Uncle Ben's. I was like, you only have 1 kind? When I went there, they said, yeah, what do you want? I said, variety. They said, no, sir, we don't eat rice. I said, what do you eat? They said, potato. Every day? They said, yes. So why? What do you eat? I said, rice. They said, every day? I said, yes, every day. Culture understanding, that's what it is. And so therefore we have 23 types of rice, not that they grow in the desert, but India brings us theirs, China, Thailand, Korea bring us theirs. They buy from each other and we buy from them and we buy from them and we sell each other and we so on and so forth. This is Dubai. So now you guys gonna be up to watch a 2-minute movie that gives you just a sneak preview on how things evolve from the pearling to where we are almost nowadays. Good, ready? Ready, set, go.
December the 2nd, 1971, the Trucial States gave way to the newly born United Arab Emirates. Meeting in what was known as the Guest Palace, the rulers of Abu Dhabi, Dubai, Sharjah, Ajman, Al Quwain and Fujairah signed the country's first constitution and established the independent state of the UAE. Ras Al Khaimah joined in February of the following year. Sheikh Zayed bin Sultan Al Nahyan, ruler of Abu Dhabi, was elected president of this new country. Sheikh Rashid bin Saeed Al Maktoum, ruler of Dubai, was appointed as the UAE's first vice president and prime minister. It's amazing how far the United Arab Emirates have progressed in such a short space of time. It began with pearls. The pearl industry was a major source of income for communities on the Arabian Peninsula. Tribesmen would migrate to the coast during the pearling season to work on the fleets putting to sea. The pearling dhows would spend many weeks and even months gathering oysters from the seabed. The industry collapsed in 1930 due to the popularity of artificially cultured pearls. Coastal communities dependent on fishing and pearling had to find new sources of income. With pearls now no longer able to supply vital income, the resilient city of Dubai turned to trade to restore its fortunes. It became a base for commerce throughout the Gulf region. The Dubai Creek, traditionally the center of business, was dredged in the early 1960s to allow larger dhows to navigate the waterway. This allowed the city to continue to grow as an important commercial hub. Dhows laden with goods are still a common feature on the city's creek, an historical link between the old and the new.
So it is trade, and that's exactly what it was. And as you see on the creek in Dubai, if you come, you will see these boats. Still looking, that's exactly the same way you see these boats are. And then there is the goods coming in from all over the world, much faster than these boats, which the idea of Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid's father, Sheikh Rashid, created. And when he spoke of in the 70s, they told him that he was crazy. Why would you build Jebel Ali port, such a huge port in the middle of the desert? Who's going to come? Today, over 1,350 plus containers every hour, on and off in that port. It's almost number 6 in the world, technically speaking. And right next to it is the new airport by Expo, Dubai Central, and you can ship your containers, bring your goods from Israel, let's say, to Dubai. In Dubai, divided it up, reship it back within, while you're speaking on talking on your apps. And so therefore, this is the beauty of this, what we call it, the future of Dubai and trading with all the technology and infrastructure. Cool? Good? Any questions? So this is at least the basics that we would like. For me, honestly, I think it's very important. You come over here, you think it's oil, you don't know about pearling, you don't know what happened in the time of struggle, whatever, it's tough. To carry on a conversation that is of substance with somebody who's from here and is very proud of their heritage and history. And now you have to think about it. These guys have been trading all these years, all their lives. I'm not here to teach them and make myself look like I'm the smart guy who's been in trading business. But no, they believe me, this is the biggest mistake people come. When they come over here, they think they know business, and Emirati, because he's dressed like this and has oil money, he doesn't know what business is all about. Very important to realize that sometimes you might be talking to people who've been in business generation after generation, and they know what they're doing. They might not, act it out. So speaking, when we first greet with Salam Alaikum, the volume is not too high, not too low, and respectful. We don't kid with the greeting. It is very professional. Eye contact, is it important? Yes. With women, don't look in their eyes. No, look in their eyes, but don't stare, nor that you can wink, especially with women. Okay, so guys, don't get funky. And ladies, don't wink at a man too, just in case his wife is with him at the meeting or the gathering or the social event. Doorways, we always go out of the door from the right, guys. It's very important. You really have lots of respect for me. You want me to go out first. If you are on my right, you lost. Don't start arguing with me. This is so disheartening for us that people don't understand. When we say from the right, that means you proceed. It's not about male, female. It's not about rich or poor. It's not about who's not. From the right. If you have somebody who's very senior and you want to, maybe, but most of the time it's from the right. Good. So doorways, if you want me to go out first, get on my left in a sneaky, discreet way. Elevators, escalators, hallways. If there is a lady inside the elevator or on the escalator, in the elevator, do not go in. You must ask first, is it okay if I come in? Especially you guys gonna be in Armani Burj Khalifa. You wanna go in there in the elevator and there is this lady dressed in black, maybe with her face covered, and you all just see on this on TV. And you get in the elevator with her thinking that you are in a hurry. All of a sudden she gets out. And you're like, oh God, what happened? Well, guess what? There is no can be male and female in an enclosed place like that. Women are very uncomfortable with it. And so therefore you have to let them either go or you have to wait for the lady to say, yes, fine, come in. Distance, please. It's always now with COVID, we have distance is already implemented and imposed on us. Proximity at all time, male to male is fine, female to female is no problem, but no touching, patting, or grabbing. This is a huge challenge for us with cultures like the French culture, where they don't even shake the man's hand. Sometimes they do, but they hug and kiss the woman. You cannot kiss our women. Will you please stop it? It's creating big problems for us. And so therefore, for us, it is very important to understand the lingo male to female. When it comes to handshake, grip time, male versus female. Don't grip too hard and don't stay too long. So male to female like this, like when Obama didn't do it right with the Queen Elizabeth, if you remember. And so therefore, the concept here is etiquette. But for a male, my advice to you, and this is what I tell the $1 million question, wait for her to extend her hand. If she doesn't, do not impose yourself on her. It's just she is not into shaking hands with men, strange men. Good? For the woman, for the female, wait for me to extend my hand. If I extend it, shake it. If I don't extend it, just salam alaikum and, greet with not just like the Japanese, but we don't bow too much. We just do this. So this is important to read the body language because sometimes it becomes a little bit, tense when you extend your hand and the other person says, sorry, I don't shake hands. Embracing and kissing, women to women, men to men. Please, men to men, please, no kissing, But technically speaking, anything COVID. You will see us Emirati from distance, we do khashmek, nose to nose. This is a very tradition in the Bedouin culture, but that does not mean we like to do it with non-locals or non-Emiratis. So it's not something that we will practice with outsiders. Comments. I'm of the opinion that most do not feel positive or negative comments are good. So therefore, there is no reason for you to really, what do we call it? Say, oh my God, I think you have the best perfume or the best cologne, or that's a lovely watch, whatever. There is some kind of or concept of superstitions, and there is a concept of what do we call it? They don't like this too much praising. So therefore, for us, we very little into, wow, you look like this, you look like that. Especially some culture, they come up to you and they say, you look like you're overweight. And I'm like, please don't say that to us. Come on, man, what are you talking about? Say, oh, in our culture, we talk like this. Say, in our culture, we do not talk like this, okay? So please. So this is, huh? You have to, in the beginning, to build a relationship. Otherwise, you're going to be annoying. You're going to be like, oh, I can't stand, to do business with these guys. And the reputation will build very quickly. Be careful. And we call it khashmek. The nose is khashmek. We tap noses. One time a guy told me, please, can I do it with you? I saw you guys, you do it. Can I tap nose with you? So I let him tap nose with me. Then he kissed me in the lips. Because we make a sound when we tap noses, we go, and guess what? It was a disaster. But with me, you can make mistakes. With some people, you cannot make mistakes. Well,
Nassif, if you can just read the question so that everybody
yeah,
knows.
yeah. So is business interaction between male and female acceptable? Yes, with all of these etiquettes in mind. Distance, no touching, no grabbing, no winking, no becoming too friendly, you know. It is very important, guys. We have what we call it shame honor society here. I mean, if you understand CQ, culture intelligence, when I teach it, I say you have to look at our society. When we are a bunch of Emiratis together, we are looking at each other. I know this lady, I know her husband, I know her family. Then all of a sudden she looks very friendly, or you do something wrong with her or whatever. And then all of a sudden it's, you know, word of mouth. This is very, very important. People are shy to be made to look bad in front of, you know, their own. So therefore it's very important. I would say that yes, do business, male to female, male to male, female to female, no problem, but with all of the above. Good? So this is just the social consideration. This is the tip of the iceberg. And now we're going to go to the concept of business consideration. Business attire is very important. Ladies particularly, please, no offense, please. No lavish, no very fine business attire, long sleeves and mute colors. It's very important when it comes to business. Scheduling time of the day or of the week. Thursday evening, just like we have in Israel and the Jewish tradition, the Friday night is the Sabbath begins. Thursday evening here, we don't like to do gathering in business because it becomes Friday. Some people. And so therefore you have to understand that Friday also is a family day, beside the fact that it's a holiday. So let's say like if it's a government, scheduling something in the morning is very important, but late in the afternoon when it's time to go home, maybe the lady has family obligation. Just remember, when you come to Dubai, you come to do business, but we live with our family. And so therefore family is calling, family is waiting, family is relying. And so therefore you have to consider the timing of the day and the timing of the week, how you schedule things. Punctuality, the inshallah factor. If I said inshallah, that doesn't mean I'm not coming. Because I know people talk to each other. What did he say? He said inshallah. What does that mean? He says, forget it, he's not gonna come. Or she's not gonna come. No, guys, we'll come. Inshallah means, you know, but it became a habit that we say it whether we mean it or not. So do re-emphasize with the person who says inshallah that you really mean it and you will be there tomorrow, unless God forbid something happens, but you will be there. It's good. It's no offense to re-emphasize. Our kids always tell us not to say inshallah anyway, because we say inshallah, we never do where they want us to do. Your presence is very important, that you are genuine and normal. There is no trying to impress, and there is no dressed down or nonchalant that you are very careless. Very important for each. We take business guys very seriously, and we take when we meet people who are strange to us very seriously. So therefore, for us, it is mega protocol. Like everything has to be to the T. So therefore, until we break ice and we go now to the desert together, and then we are, I don't know, maybe you know you used to the relationship where you have drinks. You'll find less people here who will go out to have drinks with you or go golfing, because that's not our culture. But when we go to meet business, it's business. Until one day it becomes friendship and you come to our majlis and we are back and forth more frequently. So it's very important. So know the name, please. It's very important to know the name. Don't mess up somebody's name. If they have a business card, ask for it, take it, read it. Now we don't exchange business card, but ask them to pronounce or spell their name. Same thing for you. Please say your name, like Marva, you know, like Ohad. You need to be able to say, guys, your name and spell it for the person to be able to say it right and don't be embarrassed to ask and repeat. Seating arrangement. When you come to sit with us, always the very front seats or the seats that are in the very beginning or the opening when you first walk into a conference room, let's say, they are for the host and his or her people. And so therefore, always guests must go inside. Don't sit at the edge. So it's very important. If there are ladies already sitting, keep a seat distance between you and them. So don't impose yourself. Not like if there is like conference room and everybody's going to sit to everybody, there is two ladies and there is empty seats and you choose to sit right next to the ladies. No, properly, we like to sit a little bit away until one side maybe becomes ladies and another side becomes men. Most of the time, you're going to notice that too. So we have okay, well, we started late. Come on. Standing up. We don't stand up. Honestly, it's not in our culture. But if it's a very high level senior, like a sheikh or whatever, yes, maybe somebody who's very senior, old, out of respect, but usually no standing up because of the CEO or because of the manager walked in. One-on-one meeting environment, no closed doors, glass doors, or open doors, but no one-on-one, male, female, especially behind closed doors. So if you walk in to meet with a lady and it is four walls and a door, leave the door open if you saw that it was open. Good? Business cards, we hand them with one hand, we don't hand them with two hands, so therefore there is no need for us to emphasize the Japanese culture. Small talk before business, but like I said in my previous sent out to Joanna when I said, please, no politics, no religion, no controversial issues. So it's very important to slowly begin to learn also not to ask general questions, ask specific questions. So something very nice would be like, so what is a good activity to do in Dubai? Something that it's easy for me to answer. So what is it like to go out to the desert? We all go to the desert. We all have stories about the desert. But if you ask me, so are you a fisherman? No, I'm not a fisherman. I've never been a fisherman. So therefore that kind of like, again, the talk needs to be general until you build a relationship with the person where there is trust and there is openness. We respect authority, guys. We do not come and say, oh my God, the free zone, they're making it very difficult for us to put this thing together. And what's their problem? We do not speak ill of anybody. So remember this, no speaking ill of authority, of leadership, of systems. You have a problem, you should go and try to resolve it with the entity or with the person themselves, but don't speak about it or about them to somebody else. It is not acceptable in this culture. Break for prayer, just remember, if we have a Zoom for 3-4 hours like today, let's say, and you are totally disregarding the fact that there might be 5 times a day prayer, you know, it's somewhat of a burdensome. We should be considerate. If somebody wants a cup of coffee, maybe we drink while we on Zoom, or even some people smoke, but prayer, I have to leave and I have to go pray. So therefore, it'll be very nice to be intuitive when it comes to this particular category. Holidays. I know we all know about you know, Christmas, Thanksgiving, but you need to tell us about Hanukkah, you need to tell us about what are holidays. So therefore, I don't schedule a contradicting meeting with you. And ask about mine too. Like we have Soldiers Day, we have National Day, we have the Crowning Day. We have these days where work is not the same as usual. So therefore, you schedule something on that day, it will become like somewhat you are unfamiliar with our at least basics of holidays, let's say, or agenda or schedule. Understand what is expected of you, please. We don't mind you asking, and we don't mind repeating. Please don't mind us asking, but we don't like wrong results. It kind of like disappoints us. We waited all this time and then now we have wrong results. Why? Because we did not discuss thoroughly with each other or ask. Good. So last but not least, Advantages: friendly, fair, logistic infrastructure, efficient. I promise you it is. Just try it and begin to do business here or do things. Just you like it. It's amazing. New, innovative, and futuristic. I mean, where else would you find what we have? Global reach, talent, and connectivity. Here you have talent from everywhere. We are very connected. 80% of the world is 8 hours from Emirates Airline in Dubai. Judicial system, just remember this really quick. Conflict we don't like, but we have to resolve it impeccably on a personal level is better. Sharia law does exist there, and you have to understand sometimes where does it play a role in some contracts, and of course, marriage and divorce and so on and so forth. Lawsuits, we don't like. Lawyers, sorry, lawyers, we don't like. We like to resolve issues with that. But if we do involve them, it is for something to resolve impeccably and fairly between two people, not for one to win over the other one. You will not get a second chance for business. And speed and efficient. We have court system now for outsiders that we resolve issues in 2 days, 3 days maximum, sometimes even 7 days at the latest. I'm going to start the questions with me. Last question. When do you think this was? This is Dubai, guys. Take a guess. Yalla.
1940.
53, 54, 79, 77, and 2000.
Oh, thank
Crazy.
you very much. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you, Nassif. We are coming out to round the hour.
In, you know?
Very impressive, very impressive. If you don't mind just unsharing, and I'm going to just spotlight both of us. And I will just ask one last question before I say thank you to everyone. And that is, we got a few questions in advance. The question was, how would you prepare Emiratis to visit Israel? Is there anything you would warn them of, or is it anything about Israel that is different to what you expect?
Don't use the word warning. Warning means scary. It means, oh my God, I gotta be worried. Why do you say this?
I'm reading the question as is.
I know. When I got it, I was like, here we go. No, look, Emiratis, I've been asked this from Russia and China. It's like, why don't you guys come to our country? We come to your country, so many of us. I was like, when I go to your country, it is very hard for me to read. There is nothing in Arabic. Let it be in English. So therefore, I have to be comfortable when I arrive at the airport that I have somebody that I can speak to, especially elder generation. Guys, you know, for us, those who left and went and studied overseas, we learned English. See, my English, I lived in the US for quite some time. But people who are middle-aged people in UAE who never left the UAE, their English is very, very not so great, you know. So therefore, when they're going to come to your country, they need Arabic speaking. And so therefore, the language, when you first get in there, and then the comfort zone of restaurants that I associate with, which is, you know, the concept of halal food, or just like vegetarians, they want vegetarian, or vegans, they want vegans. There are a lot of us who still in the concept of halal food. It has to be halal, otherwise I'm not gonna, you know, go mess with it. Although that Jewish culture and Muslim culture is very close, so that's gonna make it a lot easier, you know. But Emiratis are very unfamiliar with your territories. You need to slowly bring them in. So therefore, we have something like we do with fam trips, where we bring group, we familiarize them, then they go back and talk. One thing I promise you, in the UAE, it's word of mouth. We listen to each other, but we don't listen to marketing. You can buy all the ads you want. But if one person says, I went to Tel Aviv and my God, this and this and this, I'll show you, you can go and do the same thing. We will follow blindly.
Well, that's a wonderful segue, because this is what we at Vibe Israel believe in as well, very much so.
Good. No, you're doing good. This is good initiative, I believe.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. We can do a presentation for you when you bring groups to Israel.
Yeah, that's good.
But thank you very much to Mr. Nassif Kayed, and to the Arab Culturalist. I love the name. And to everyone who joined us today, we look forward to continuing the conversation. The opportunities that the United Arab Emirates and Israel have now are boundless and limitless as long as we respect each other and respect each other's cultures. So thank you very much for that. And I invite everyone to tune in live streaming from Dubai when we're there this week. I'll be on stage this Wednesday at around 11 o'clock Israel time. So invite you to join us, and thank you very much. And anybody who wants to hear more from Nassif, we will be happy to share his details with you. That's it. We've rounded off the hour. Thank you. And wishing you an enjoyable rest of the evening, afternoon, morning, wherever you are. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you
so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
شكرا كثير.
Thank you.
Thank you.